Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Eledo Cafe. I'm Chris here. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Let's take a look and see what's going on in the markets. Last time we talked about them, it was I think in the second year of December before we went away for the holidays, and really not a lot has happened since then. We've had a little bit of a sell-off. Then we try to make new all-time highs. We're kind of moving back and forth, but really, if you look at the S&P, the equities in general, we haven't really gone anywhere since pretty much the beginning of October. That's where I think we've kind of finished off this uptrend that was a little bit more powerful. You can see we've had that sell-off day. I think we've had some China related news back here around October 10th, and then we made a new high, then corrected, and then since then we've been sideways. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see and see if there's any more signs appearing that this wave one purple is in place, or it's about to get finished. We did make new all-time highs in the Dow. There's still breakouts happening in a lot of financials. We have new all-time highs in the emerging markets. So the market, it is a lot of the selling has been happening in the tech sector. We don't have, let's say, massive participation from all the areas of the market, but it's a little bit tricky. So I continue to choose to stay somewhat defensive with quite some large hedges on, and without trying to press the accelerator too much until we're getting the bearings here as we're beginning 2026. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful. I do have I started initiating shorts in some of the high flyers from last year, like Light and SanDisk, and some of those that have been, moving strongly, and I think they will enter periods of correction or underperformance. But I'm not, I'm just kind of observing here coming after the holidays and see where this takes us. The crypto market has been, hit pretty hard last year. Bitcoin is trying to recover a little bit in here. We'll take a look at the wave count and kind of what, that tells us. I don't think we're fully out of the woods there yet. So, I wish I could come in here and, tell you I have these great ideas, but it's really, I'm just kind of watching it on a day by day basis. I've started to kind of pay a little bit more attention after the holidays now and just, see if we're getting volume, kind of what sectors are important, if semiconductors continue to act well or they don't. I watch, kind of my risk charts. I'm looking at consumer discretionary. I'm looking kind of how the bonds are acting. I do a lot of kind of intermarket analysis and see where things stand and if there are any risk pockets out there. So, from a purely wave count perspective, what you see here, it's kind of what I'm looking at. I think that this was, a fourth wave. It's possible that we're still in some kind of a triangle as part of a fourth wave, and we're gonna slowly grind higher on lower volume, and that creates some kind of a top. But we got to break below, some of these key moving averages. So right now you can see in the S&P we're still above that 50-day, but it's been just kind of choppy and not really going anywhere. The Nasdaq, here it's still weak. It tried to close below that 50-day, and this is a weekly chart, by the way. It tried to close below it, and it's just kind of very tight price section. You can look at the Dow and you can see how this guy, it's moving higher. But I mean, look at the volume in here that's been happening for the past several weeks now. I know, it was the holidays. So that's why I'm waiting to see, how much conviction they really have this year. This week, and see if they're going to close with any, with any strength. Russell doesn't look that bad. It looks like it's a nice little three-wave setback in here. So let's see if we can get back above this kind of 2600. And that's that's kind of what I'm thinking, to just continue to wait for a few more days and see kind of how we kind of close off the week. Silver and gold have been really powerful. I was able to sell some of my silver here past week, and just this last week was a pretty kind of strong, powerful reversal, especially on the daily time frames. But we're consolidating, and we haven't had any follow through to the downside. But we could be now in some kind of a B wave, and then maybe either a triangle, because from a count perspective, it does look like silver. It still needs some further subdivision. So I kind of got my eye on it, but I think maybe the larger part of the move has been already made, and the rest is just going to be a little bit more painful in here. So sorry if I'm a bit all over the place. It's just kind of my first video after a while, and I'm trying to kind of get back into it, get my bearings back. But look, Bitcoin has failed to break lower in some kind of a final fifth wave that we were monitoring, and instead it just kind of went sideways, and it spent a long time living below this 50-day and below the 20-day, and now finally we broke above it. I don't know if it's the beginning of something else. We are getting a little bit of volume coming in, but if I look at the weekly time frames in here, it's still I think it's still struggling, right? It's fine that it's beginning to, at least for this first week since again October, that it's sticking its head above the 50-day moving average in here, but it's still, there is a chance that this could be a big head and shoulders. You might have heard this, where you had this kind of left shoulder back here, and then you have almost like some kind of a double top look, and now you're kind of building the right side of that shoulder, and then we'll see. But this is definitely now a big level, and what happens if we do get towards this 50-week moving average, the 200-day, kind of how the market will react back there if we can make it all the way up there. And then we'll see if we're going to start doing something like this and kind of how that goes. But again, it doesn't have to do that. It's just obviously thoughts on patterns and stuff that just builds up on the chart. The further we get above this 101, and maybe even above 108, the better it is. And then we will know that it's likely that we're going to continue higher. So, there's still time, no rush really, until we see what's going on here with the equities, and we see a bit more strength in crypto. But, it's encouraging, at least, we stopped going down in here, and we haven't made a bunch of new lows. Now, in terms of the wave count, this was the S&P, so let me go and take a look at Bitcoin. We've had the idea of of a fourth wave, and I was watching time. Now we've passed a little bit more than 100% of the wave 2. So this is kind of my polar scenario, where we're working maybe still some kind of a fourth wave in here, and eventually we'll resume higher and continue to go. Like I said, I think we need a bit more time on that. But the other one, it is that maybe we're still working this fourth wave purple as we're beginning the year, and there will be one more flush in a fifth wave for a wave A, then a B, and then a C, which means that pretty dragged out sideways bear market in cryptos and in Bitcoin until we finish off a larger correction, and then we go. So for this to be invalidated, we need to get back above this levels, right? And we might not be that far away from them. Let me just kind of try to move a little bit this out of the way. I'm gonna delete some of this stuff out. So let's say that this was the wave 3 low, although we do have some issues here, and call this some kind of let's say WXY in a fourth wave, and then followed by one more move. I think if we do break below, if we start to break below these levels, I think we're going to go down more towards 75. But again, the further up we go and we start to live above, 103, 500, the better it is. I mean, by that time, I think this idea will be invalidated. So you can see we're not out of the woods by a long shot. So we'll continue to watch this, and I'm not getting aggressive until there is better setups in the market. So, again, to conclude, I'm gonna be staying cautious in the equities. Continue to maintain my short exposure, my short hedge exposure, especially by kind of going some of the high flyers that I think have a lot more room to correct. And on cryptos, I'm just waiting, and in the metals, I'm still kind of waiting. I do want to sell a little bit more of my holdings in silver. If this proves as a kind of a triangle that we're going to push higher, maybe one more time, maybe into the 80s, 82, 83, maybe even 85 zone before we start to kind of fall apart some more. So I'm keeping an eye on that as well. So once again, these are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. As always, you find me on Twitter, on Discord, and here on YouTube. So let's keep going this year. Thank you. Bye bye.